What is up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Leeds United Career Mode. This is episode number 108, and as you can tell by the title, we have a very interesting episode for you guys today. One of our best players will be leaving the club in this window. Not what I wanted to see. I wanted to try and keep hold of every single player we have currently here at Leeds, but if a player wants to go, a player wants to go, and we have to sell them on. And unfortunately, the board took it out of my hands and did in fact sell this particular player on. You'll see it is in the coming up of this episode, but all I can tell you right now, guys, is I am fuming with it because the player that goes, not only that, as soon as that player went, another player handed in a transfer request as well. A player that we've had basically since season 1. So I'm very, very frustrated with this episode. We're possibly losing 2 guys out of this Leeds United team. Definitely losing 1, but there's a possibility that we could still lose another one. However, I did make a couple of signings, or maybe one signing in this episode as well for you guys to watch. And it is a highly requested signing. It's been requested so many times in the past on this series. And so I went ahead and finally did it when this young man did in fact leave the club. You have to wait and see who that is in today's episode. We've got a game now coming up against Chelsea here to kick the episode off with before we move into that January transfer window. And as well, guys, just to know before we move into another episode of this career mode, basically, guys, I was saying that I'm going to be simming quite a few league games because of the fact that we are so far ahead and we seem to win it every time, and just be playing the Champions League ones because I want to even move clubs by the end of this season. But if there's no clubs available or my manager rating is too low, I'll be just starting another career mode because it's got to the point now with this Leeds United team where it's so easy to beat teams that are supposed to be really tough opponents. And not only that, I dominate literally every game. I don't win every game, but I do dominate most of the games in this one. So it's got to the point now where I'm thinking we've probably got to the end of it. I will keep a save file though, guys, so don't worry about not keeping a save file. I will definitely have a save file available for us, and we can come back to it before the end of FIFA 17 if we want to do one more season to have another go at that unbeaten league campaign. But to talk about this game here against Chelsea, I was mad. I missed a chance early on with Lukaku against his former club. Should have buried that one. I missed a chance there with James Rodriguez. Should have buried that one. And that's not the first time James has done that for us. He seems to not be able to head the ball in the back of the net as soon as he has a simple tap-in, basically. Then we get a chance here with Owen Allen, who came off the bench for us with 15 minutes left in this one. Could only force the keeper into a save. But it just felt as though this game I could not find the back of the net. And then when this happens with Romelu Lukaku, you seriously have to question whether or not the game did actually want me to win. Because this is a fantastic cross from Owen Allen. Couldn't have asked for a better ball in. And Lukaku, literally, 5 yards out, 6 yards out, should have buried it, and he didn't even hit the target. How does somebody at 91 overall miss and not hit the target? I'd have understood it if he hit it possibly straight at the keeper. At least he's hit the target there. But he should have buried that chance. I had 3 really good chances in this one, and I came away with a 0-0 draw. So, again, although I said I dominate teams and stuff, it wasn't as if I came away with a big win there, but it still was very easy to break Chelsea down, and I should have got away with the win. I had 3 extremely good chances in that one and put them all wide, which is just something that you can't do if you want to win a game. But you can see the rest of the results there. United beating Arsenal by 3-1 as well. West Ham and Newcastle playing out a 3-2 thriller. But yesterday as well, guys, or when I'm recording this yesterday on the Saturday, it was FA Cup day. I'm recording this on Sunday, and you're seeing it hopefully on Sunday as well. It was FA Cup day, and it was a mad day of football. And I said to you guys, this is why I love the FA Cup, because you get so many results that just do not seem to go the way that it should do. I mean, look at Wickham. They took Tottenham right until the 90th minute, and they ended up with a 4-3. So if you haven't watched any of the games, go and watch them, because some of the games are absolutely thrilling. Lincoln as well, the only team now left in it that aren't they're a non-league club, and they're in the 5th round, which is crazy to see as well. But guys, the player that came in and said he wanted to leave the club was Anthony Martial. So basically, I was not expecting that to happen. You know, he's got the top goal scorer in the last 2 seasons in a row since he's come to Leeds, and he was looking like he was going to get it for the 3rd season in a row here. And the thing is, it really did wind me up, and it pissed me off basically because I was not expecting Martial to, out of all the players to come to me and say I want to leave the club, Martial was nowhere near that list. I was thinking possibly Anwar Ghazi might do it at some point because he's not getting in the team as much as he was back in the day. But the fact that Martial did it, I was frustrated. And the worst bit is as well, guys, I tried to get Paulo Dybala by offering Manchester United Martial back plus around 10 million, and then I actually bumped that up to 30 million, and they declined it on both occasions, which is frustrating again, because it would have been a like-for-like replacement, basically, Martial for Dybala, but unfortunately that doesn't go ahead. And for a player that's worth somewhere in the region of 60 or 70 million pounds, I could have quite easily got 130 million pounds for him from a big team if he didn't request that transfer. But as soon as he requested it, and as soon as I rejected an offer that comes in for him in the episode, the board took it in their own hands and decided to sell him. This is frustrating when it happens because they sell them at such a knockdown price. There's literally no point in you even trying to keep them at the club, because at the end of the day, the board are going to do it no matter what, and you're basically going to get half the price that you probably could have got for them if you'd have sold them yourself. But you can see, we've got this game up against Arsenal here, Bellerin against his former club, and it looks as if this will possibly be the last game that Anthony Martial features for us in a Leeds United shirt, which is a bit of an issue, really, because I didn't want him to bow out this way. I mean, it's the last time he'll ever play in the Leeds shirt. It was totally unexpected, and at that point, I didn't know what to make of it. So I named him in this team today. I gave him one more game in this Leeds United shirt to show you guys what he's capable of doing before he leaves the club, and also to show the home fans, or the away fans, sorry, travelling to the Emirates to take Arsenal on here, what he can do before he does, in fact, leave the team, which is a bit unfortunate, like I said. At the end of the day, though, there is nothing you can do once a player wants to leave the club, and their mind is set on going. You just have to sell them, and unfortunately, the board, as I say, take it into their own hands, and you'll see the offer that we actually get for him, and he does, in fact, move for. But we actually dominated this one against Arsenal here. Another London club in this one, but this time I did manage to take my chances. The first one came here when Lukaku, who's not had a great episode so far, got through and really had to hit either corner of the goal with that one. Not straight at Donnarumma between the sticks there, of course, formerly of Leeds, but he took us into the 70th minute, and we did, in fact, get the first goal in this one. Neymar, nice ball through to Lukaku, who holds up the play well, gives it off to Eriksen. Eriksen tries to spin, give it back to Lukaku. Eventually, Lukaku gets through, but it comes back to Eriksen, and that is just world class from the Danish playmaker. Absolute quality, and this is why Christian Eriksen has arguably been one of the top players of the series that we've had. We got him on a pre-contract, if you guys remember, and he has been absolutely immense throughout the entirety of this series that we've had him here at Leeds, and I've thoroughly enjoyed having him in that camp position. And if I have to recommend him to any of you guys, I would say go out and pick him up. That strike there, coming back off the post and beating Donnarumma, is not easy to beat a keeper of Donnarumma's standard, and we had to take something spectacular, and that strike through the legs of the defender from Christian Eriksen was just that. Fantastic effort, gave us a lead there inside 73 minutes, but it didn't look as if Martial was going to get himself a goal, or so I thought, until we stole the ball back there. Eriksen gives it to Lukaku, I think, and then eventually the ball comes out here, back into Eriksen. Eriksen takes the effort on, I think, and it's saved well by Donnarumma. And unfortunately, he didn't manage to make it too. But like I said, I didn't think Martial was going to get him any goal to buy himself out with. And then this happened. Lovely ball in from Bellerin against his former club into Anthony Martial. Martial spins, left-footed strike into the corner of the net. He's got his goal before he leaves this Leeds United setup. And of course, that is a nice way to bow out. But unfortunately, guys, he is going to be leaving the club. I can't do anything to change his mind. I tried offering him a new contract, but he simply would not negotiate with me. Says he's homesick, so I don't know where he ends up going. I can't quite remember off the top of my head. I think it's a Spanish team in the end that he ends up going to. So if he's homesick and he's French, doesn't really make sense, does it, Anthony? But I have to respect his decision. He's done well. He's been a good servant for us, of course, coming here on a free from Manchester United, so I can't complain too much about getting the money that I do get for him. But like I said, I probably could have sold him for in the region of around 130 million if I was able to sell him and actually wanted to do it myself. But the board do what they do, and the board in some cases are thoroughly frustrating. So you can see as well, guys, I mentioned because we can't have that unbeaten season due to the fact that we lost to West Ham, I will be simming games that I normally wouldn't sim in seasons where I would be still unbeaten, hopefully. But I do end up simming quite a few games here just because of the fact that we are not able to go unbeaten. So therefore, I'm not too bothered about results. And therefore, I sim games that I probably should play. And I actually do lose another one. You'll see it coming up in the episode to come here today. But the thing is, like I mentioned, as soon as Martial decided he wanted to leave the club, we then got an email from somebody else, which you'll see coming up. And then another player just decided, you know what, I've come to my time at the end of Leeds United. I have no idea what was going on. Literally, every time I went into my email inbox, there was a player coming back to me saying that he's either unsettled or he wants to leave the club. And that is the most frustrating thing to happen, especially when they're going to go for ridiculous amounts of money and I can't sign a replacement who's going to be like, you know, just as good as those guys. Because the likes of Anthony Martial, he's already 91 rated. And the problem is, with only getting £60 million for him, which is what we actually get in the deal for him, it wasn't enough for me to be able to sign another striker who's going to be world class, and therefore I had to go for somebody in the rating of like 85 or 86, and you'll see who that is in just a second who we ended up signing. But I was angry because you can see there we decided to counter offer United or City's offer there for Anthony Martial, and they said that it was nowhere near what they were willing to pay, and I think I counted for like 120 million in the end. We then tried to get Paulo Dybala. They were interested in Martial but wanted £60 million, but as you can see, I could not do it. I probably could have done if I'd have changed the wage budget over, but in the end I chose not to do that simply because of the fact that I didn't know what was going to come in terms of if we were going to lose another player in this window. But like I said, the board are increasingly frustrating when they do what they do because it's so mad, or I get so mad when it happens. And you can see as well, we're looking at browsing jobs because that's what I tend to do quite a lot here. And you can see the jobs that are available to us as well. A lot of them, though, I'm not interested in due to the fact that, as I said, a lot of them are like Juventus, you know, the likes of Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich. All the teams have already got players who are absolute quality. I mean, you can see as well, I'm trying to look through for somebody that I can replace Anthony Martial with, because it is undoubtedly that he will be leaving the club. And I didn't want to have him leave the club and just not have anybody to replace him like for like, because I wanted somebody to come in and still be good enough for us, because we've got Firmino, we've got Januzaj, we've got people like this, we've got Neymar, of course, and we've got Joel Green. But with injuries and stuff that happen, those players could easily be then knocked out of the team and not be available. So I had to make sure that I did bring in a replacement. I know we've already got players that are good enough to replace Martial right now, but I needed to make sure that we had another player at least to come off the bench, or even maybe just start a couple of games here and there, and make sure that we didn't just have players that could eventually get injured and then have to play like, you know, sort of 70 rated players. I didn't want to have that happen. So I was looking through the world-class category, and in the end, I did actually find someone. Like I said, it was a suggestion that you guys have left so many times in the series, and I've never gone around and actually picked him up, simply because of the fact that I never thought he'd be good enough for us. But he's at an overall now where I considered it, and I was like, you know what? I am interested in him. You can see Paul Pogba was actually one of the players as well. He is unavailable on a pre-contract. I chose against this, though, because I will be leaving the club no matter what at the end of this season. So I chose against this deal for Paul Pogba. I tried to offer them James Rodriguez plus 10 million, which in my opinion is an unreal offer. James Rodriguez isn't too much behind in terms of overall, and his contract is expiring in 6 months. So therefore, I felt as though that offer was a very good one for Paul Pogba, but they turned it down in the end, and I chose not to go for him after that one. But you can see no deal is currently done there. I did, in fact, actually add the player that I'm talking about to the shortlist. I can't remember, though, when I actually offered for him. But you can see we've got a game against Brighton coming up as well, which is one of those games where I sim it. And like I said, I'm going to lose the occasional game. And I did, in fact, lose it to Brighton here in this cup game. I thought it was a league game at first, but it wasn't. It was, in fact, a cup match. And I didn't end up losing it. As you can see, Paul Pogba came back. Manchester City were not interested. We counter-offered when they offered for Anthony Martial. They weren't interested. They counter-offered us, rather, when we tried to go in for Paul Pogba. So it's the way it works, unfortunately. But you can see as well, we're just trying to make sure that all the players that I'm currently got here are still available. And I think one of them asked for a new contract, which was actually Joel Green. Or not Joel Green, sorry. We actually transfer listed James Rodriguez. And I think Lou asked for a new contract, which I did go ahead and give him one, simply because of the fact that I wanted to make sure that he was going to commit his future to the club, as we already have players wanting to leave, which is the most frustrating bit about the career mode. You know, when you've got a team as good as this, we have like literally the best team in the world. I can't understand why players would want to leave when you're guaranteed to win trophies here, basically. That's what it's like at the moment. We're guaranteed pretty much to win trophies, and yet we've got players that are wanting to leave the club, which is the most frustrating bit about it. The fact that we're going to win the Champions League, possibly, and pretty much guaranteed to win the Premier League, and yet the players don't want to stay. Like I said, it's frustrating, but you can see as well, this game against Brighton here, we did in fact lose it, as I said. I mean, I'm not too bothered about it, because the FA Cup, yeah, it would be nice to win it, but I've already won it once. I've already won the League Cup, and I've already won most of the trophies available to us here in England, and therefore any trophies that we're battling for, I'm just simply not interested at this point now. We're 6 seasons in. I want to move clubs. I want to try and go and have a different sort of challenge on my hands now, so that's why I'm sort of trying to leave the club at the end of the season. Whether or not we'll stay in the save, or we'll have to start a new one, we'll have to wait and see what becomes available at the end of the season. But for now, it's looking as if I am going to be definitely stopping it after this season. Well, as I said, we will keep a save file, though, and we will go back to it in FIFA 18 if we ever get to the point, or in FIFA 7, or at the end of FIFA 17, going into FIFA 18, sorry. If we ever get to the point where I'm sort of thinking to myself, you know what, I want to have one last go at going and beating in the Premier League, then I will try and do it. If you haven't seen as well, guys, in my Road to Glory career mode that we've got currently with Hartlepool, we're around about 31 league games into League One, and we're still unbeaten in that. So that's the first time possibly that I may ever do a fully unbeaten league campaign, which will be very interesting because I've never done it before in Legendary and I've never done it before on YouTube. So I've never done it at all. Therefore, that could be the first time that I ever do it. But I won't count it as good as it would have been in the Premier League because, of course, the Prem is the highest league in top flight football, or in the English football, sorry. And so if I do it in the League One, yes, it would be fantastic to do, but I would have liked to have done it in the Prem, and I'm still going to try and do it in the Prem. If I don't do it in that series, I will come back to this one and try it here. As you can see as well, Anthony Martial did in fact go to Celta Vigo. I think it was around 60 million we got for him, but in the end, I needed a replacement, and this is the man that you guys have suggested so many times. I've seen him commented like literally over 10 or 15 times now in the past about 2 weeks, I'd say. Leon Bailey, crazy. I mean, I was looking at him before. I think he's linked with Manchester United in real life as well. So he looks as if a move is imminent to the Premier League for himself in real life as well. So we'll get to see what he's like in terms of real life play. But it looks as if as well that the deal is imminent to come over to Leeds and play football here as a replacement, sort of, for Anthony Martial. And then the second player came in and was like, you know what, I also want to leave the club. And that man was Joel Green. So in the space of literally 2 weeks in-game, we'd had Anthony Martial come to us and say that he wanted to leave the club. So we had to let him go. And then we had Joel Green come to us and say that he wants to leave the club. So in the space of 2 weeks, we'd lost, arguably, 2 of our best players here at Leeds, possibly, if Joel Green does in fact move. I think there was only about a week left in the window, so I was trying to hold out and make sure that even if an offer came in for him, we wouldn't accept that offer just so that I could keep hold of him, and that's what my game plan was thinking. In my head, I was thinking, as long as I wait this week out, and as long as we don't get an offer in for him, the chances are he will stay here at Leeds, and that's what I tried to do. And I think in the end, he does in fact stay, but it could have been so bad if he'd have handed that in a few more weeks earlier. If he'd have handed it in a couple of days after Anthony Martial did, then we could have been in serious trouble in terms of the players that we could have possibly lost. You can see as well, we get an offer here for Miguel, but before that, we actually have the offer accepted for Leon Bailey. I can't quite remember how much I paid. I think it was in the region of about 45 or 50 million pounds in the end, which is crazy amount of money to spend on a player. Yeah, 45.5 million for Leon Bailey. But as I said, I needed a replacement due to Martial leaving the club. And if Joel Green left as well, I had a backup player in mind for myself. It was Mbai Niang, which was actually suggested way back in Season 1 of this career mode. So if I had Joel Green leaving, my mind was telling me go with Mbai Niang. So I sort of put in an offer for him. You don't see it during the episode because nothing ever came to fruition with it. But my backup plan for it was actually Mbai Niang in order to try and bring him in as a replacement for Joel Green if Joel Green did leave. So I made the offer, I had the offer accepted, and I was waiting on seeing what Joel Green did. I had about, I think, 3 hours left in the transfer window, and so I decided to hold out and just see what Joel Green said. He didn't go in the end, so we did not sign Mbai Niang, but we do in fact get Leon Bailey. There you go, the contract offer is accepted. 45 million, 35 grand a week as well, 85 rated. Very decent signing, if I do say so myself. I think he's 4-star weak foot and skill moves as well, so very similar in that sense to Anthony Martial, and I think he's got high attacking and medium defensive work rates as well, so pretty decent if you do say so. But, you know, still only 85 rated, got a lot of room to grow as well, still only 24 years of age. But guys, with only 6 months left in this game, the chances are we're not going to get him to an overall where he's in the same sort of region as Martial was, and he probably won't hit the same goal scoring form that he does hit here. He doesn't start this one. He is on the bench for us today. Joel Green does in fact start though, so possibly could be named as a traitor if he wanted to go. I don't know. Is he a traitor? Is he, I don't understand it really, because as I said, he's winning trophies, he's guaranteed trophies. Why would you want to leave? Unless you just want a sort of change of scenery, but at the same time, it doesn't make sense. We're going to win trophies here, Joel. Why do you want to go unless you want to go abroad and win a trophy over there? I can't really get my head around it unless, as I say, he wants to go to like Spain or Germany or something like that and try and win a trophy over there. But he stays with us regardless. And as I said, the Mbai Niang deal does not, in fact, go through due to the fact that Joel Green does, in fact, stay here at the club. But it could have been bad. As I mentioned, we could have had 2 players leaving us, and they would arguably be 2 of our strongest players in terms of quality we have here at Leeds. But we have this game against Everton coming up in the Prem, and they're not doing too well for themselves. They're sat down near the bottom of the table, and they've never really got themselves going in this series. They've always struggled when it comes to the Premier League. They've always been that sort of down near the bottom of the table. If you remember the Season 1 when we got into the Premier League, they only just escaped relegation. So they've not really done anything, and I'm a bit surprised, really, that Koeman is still in charge over at Everton. You can see their team on your screen. Benteke leads the line for them. They've got Andre Gray on the bench as well, formerly of Burnley, of course. That's our team, though. Lou Bellerin, Oxford, Bailly, and, of course, pretty much our strongest lineup available to us as Martial has, in fact, left the club. So I think it was Firmino, possibly, and Lukaku, or it might have been El Ghazi and Lukaku starting up top for ourselves. Yeah, it was, I think, El Ghazi and Lukaku. So we had the first chance here 56 minutes in, and who else but Leon Bailey coming off the bench. He's only literally 5'8", I think it is, and he scored a header. Like, I was baffled. We was 0-0 until the 60th minute. Nothing happened in the first half. It was a very, very weird first half to play. It was a very midfield-esque battle where nobody really could get a chance. So at half-time, I switched it up. I brought off Lukaku and I brought in Leon Bailey. And Leon Bailey scored a header with his first touch for Leeds United. Literally, that was his first touch, and he scored. So I was like, okay, well, we've just got rid of Martial. We brought in Leon Bailey as a replacement. And to score from your first touch, what a way to introduce yourself. But we got a second here. And 68 minutes in, Neymar completely bamboozled the Everton man. It might be El Ghazi, I think, actually bamboozling the Everton man, Jemison there. And it meant that Neymar was, in fact, going to take the spot kick, of course. He has the highest penalty ratings at the club. And I've yet to miss a penalty with him. And if you all have followed the series before, you will know, yeah, it was actually El Ghazi running through. You will know, if you followed the series before, how many penalties I, in fact, miss. I am the worst player when it comes to penalties. you just know if you're ever playing against me on Ultimate Team, I'm probably going to miss that penalty. So don't ever fear me. If you ever come up against me on Ultimate Team, never fear me if you give away a penalty. Literally, I miss them constantly. I'm so bad at them this year. But I managed to put that one in the back of the net there with Neymar. The Everton keeper stayed down the middle thinking I was going to go there. In the end, I didn't. I went to the top left corner, and thankfully it rocked into the back of the net there to make it 1-0, or 2-0, sorry, in this one. So we picked up another 3 points, it's looking as if, and that was such a comfortable game in the end. It didn't look comfortable from the first half. As I said, nothing happened. I really struggled to get myself into the game. And then Leon Bailey coming off the bench, scoring with his first touch, made sure that the points were secure and coming back to Ellen Road with us. So it's not an easy place to go, Goodison Park, even if Everton are struggling in this series so far. But the thankful matter is, we got the 3 points. We're still only 1 defeat in the season already. Last year, we had 1 defeat over the 38 Premier League games, and that came with around 10 games to go. So if we do it again and only go 1 defeat this year, I will be frustrated. But hopefully you've enjoyed this episode of the Leeds United Career Mode. If you have, I'd appreciate if you could drop a like rating, guys. If you could hit 25 likes on today's episode, that would be immense as well. Thank you all so much for your continued support, and I will catch you all with another video very soon. Adios.